Well, hi there. I'm Diana Montford, the world's first transgender television journalist. Born male, became female, etc., etc. UFOs, extraterrestrials, do you believe? I do. My guest does. My guest is one of the most prominent ufologists, as they're called, on Earth, and maybe elsewhere for all we know. Mr. Nick Curto, who has his own group. You have, what, two meetings? Two groups or one group?
We have 2 meetings per month for the whole year. So there's quite a few. That's 24 meetings
Right.
plus a couple of special events.
Of people who believe in extraterrestrials, in UFOs, in people who live under the sea, in all sorts of things. I mean, it's not just up there, it's also at the center of the earth and all points combined. So it's not, I do believe that we have had extraterrestrials visit us since the dawn of time and will till the end of time. I think that we are part extraterrestrial, which is why we share our genes with the apes, except for that point something, and that point something, those are the extraterrestrial genes, and they created us. That's my way of thinking about it, maybe Nick's as well. You don't have to believe, but, whatever. But anyway, so we're going to discuss UFOs, extraterrestrials, walk-ins, and other things that go bump in the night. So, I believe you believe.
Absolutely do. Not only believe, but I've been there. I've seen and I've felt. And when you are in that position, it's unexpected, of course, but when it happens to you, it's like, I know.
Have you had contact with extraterrestrials?
Yes, once. When I was probably around 10
Can you tell us
years
about
old.
it?
And I was living with my parents and my sister in New England, Springfield, Massachusetts, to be exact. And on Sundays, a lot of families would get in a car and go for the Sunday drive.
Sure.
It's something families do. Sometimes you plan a picnic or something
Yeah.
to go along. So we did that, and on a very fine, I believe, late spring day, we did a ride, and I believe we went way up into New England, probably Maine or New Hampshire. It was quite a trip, and it was a joyful, wonderful experience. And in the car, everybody talks too,
Sure.
and it's a fun family thing to do. And I remember it was a late afternoon. It was sunny, and we were on a 2-lane road. I remember that, not on a highway, but on a road. And something happened then, and it was blocked from my memory for many, many years. And
In other words, the extraterrestrials blocked it from your
I
memory.
believe that's what
Yes.
happened. And many, many years later, I'm talking maybe 30 years later, all of a sudden, Diana, it flooded back to me. And it was staggering.
Well, what happened?
Okay, so we're driving, and I remember all of a sudden, like a blank area. And then I remember it was dark, and somehow I came to, or my conscious came to, and I was sitting on the hood of my dad's car, and I was immobilized. I could not move. I tried to, and I was literally, my body was frozen. But I was looking at a ET this close, and the eyes were huge. I remember the eyes.
Was it a gray?
Yes, I believe it was. And the eyes were almost like Black Mirror. It was so glossy. And I remember I could see some light, maybe trees that were in back of me in his eyes.
Where were your parents when this was going on?
I don't know. And I don't know where my sister was. I couldn't really move to look around because
Right.
that would have been something I would want to know.
Yeah.
But I was just stunned, and it was such a feeling that I could not move. I literally couldn't. And the next thing, and I didn't know where anybody was. I didn't see any other ETs, just that one straight on
Right.
looking at me. And the next thing I remember, it was very dark, and we were back in the car. My mother and dad in the front seat, and my sister with me in the back, and we were very, very slowly driving back home, and nobody was talking, which is very unusual for us. No one talked the whole trip. into the house. Nobody said a word.
So I take it perhaps each of your family members had pretty much the same experience, and no one knew what to make of it.
Like it was erased.
Yeah.
And I can understand that in a way. I can understand that that might be the way it was done. I do remember as a child too, after that, my mom would be very protective. Like for instance, at night, she would double check to make the Venetian blinds and the curtains were tight closed.
Sure.
And she said something like, you never know who could look in.
Yeah.
And at the time it didn't make, all right, she was being careful, but maybe, perhaps it was more than that.
Yeah, sure.
But we never, ever discussed it. Never. Like I said,
weren't Barney Hill and his wife, that was also New England, wasn't it?
yes, it was. In fact, we had a member of their family on, a wonderful woman from MUFON. She works for MUFON now, and she addressed the group, Disclosure Network New York.
Which is your group.
Which is my group, and she was wonderful, and she was talking all about their experience. And one interesting story, probably you know this, is when Betty was saying, I saw the star map because I asked where you were from,
that's right.
and they showed it, and then later on she remembered that and put the little marks where the stars were, and people said, no, there's no place like that. But years later, they discovered another planet, I believe?
Just a little clarification. Betty and Barney Hill were an interracial middle-aged couple who lived in Massachusetts, I believe. And they were driving along, and a UFO overtook them, and under hypnosis, and it is impossible to lie under hypnosis. They did not consciously recall it, but when they were hypnotized, they remembered going on the craft. They remembered, I think, being probed, actually, didn't they? And all sorts of things. And that, I mean, it has great veracity in the UFO community.
Yes, it does. Mm-hmm. And the story was, I would advise anybody to look into this.
Absolutely.
It's an incredible story. It's got a lot of merit to it. Mm-hmm. And again, she identified where they said that they were from, and later it was proven that her memory was exactly right because...
Well, you cannot lie under the hypnosis.
There you go. And it was really a place.
Yes.
So all those years when they thought you don't know what you're talking about, and later it was proven she did. Amazing story.
Sadly, I think they were both dead by the time that was proved, weren't they?
I don't know that. I hope not, but I don't know. But that's one of the stories. And we have a lot of members of our group who have had experiences, or abduction experiences in some cases. Some people are
I hate that
well
term,
known.
abduction. Let's say an introduction to a more vast realm of experience.
Okay, that's
because
fair.
abduction sounds like they put a sack over your head and they take,
You're right.
No, I mean, and yes, some are hostile, but most are not.
Right.
ETs,
And I think it's good to say that there are both good and bad.
Oh, sure.
Just like on our planet, there are good and bad on other planets and other realms.
And some ETs draw strength from our stress and our fear and our, so stay calm.
And a wonderful ufologist, Mark Bruggenhoff, the one we talked
Yes.
about, and he said...
He's a walk-in.
He's an amazing guy, absolutely amazing. He and Phyllis, his wife, have been to our group and have talked.
Oh, wonderful.
And they were amazing. And one thing he said is that the ones that aren't good can't stand references to the Universal Father, God, anything like that.
The Force, whatever you want to call it.
And that they can't handle that. And so when Mark communicates, he always uses words that are loving and kind. And if he doesn't know who's there, he'll know because they won't take that. They'll leave. They just won't want to hear it. And the ones that are good will embrace that. Embrace love, embrace helping. And that's good to know.
If they really hated us with all their power and all their intelligence,
absolutely,
they could destroy us in a heartbeat, less than a heartbeat. They've been with us from the dawn of time. They'll be with us till the end of time. They like us or we wouldn't be here. And when are we going to get disclosure from some government somewhere?
Now, we've had we audio tape all the programs, and we put them on YouTube as well as our website,
Wonderful.
dnny.info.
So you can see the meetings.
They'll be able to hear the whole meetings with the guest speaker and all. And we've had very amazing people, Major George Filer, who has an amazing website, one of the best ufologists in the world.
Yes.
He was amazing. We've had Dr. Stephen Greer.
Yes.
And Dr. Greer, we had a scheduled an hour talk, and he was very generous to do that. I think he went about an hour and a half or more, because once he got going, and we thought, let him go, because he was amazing too. And he, by the way, he's doing a movie that's coming out in September, and our group pitched in.
We're shooting this in 2019.
Oh, right. Thank you. And so that's very exciting. We gave a little contribution for the making of the movie.
Wonderful. GoFundMe kind of thing, right?
Right. And that's coming right out. And everybody is saying that's seen the rushes that, oh my God, wait, this is going to be a groundbreaker of information that mainstream will know.
Well, I think we're getting it in increments because, you know, in 16, 17, the government released those videotapes of Navy SEALs or someone seeing, you know, something and saying, God damn, what the hell is that? You know, and I mean, you know. So
what's going on, and Diana, what you're mentioning here is that all of a sudden we went from little green men, don't be silly, there's nothing there, and now they flipped it in the last year, and you're hearing, well, we have pictures of UFOs. They're showing things like that. Why would they be flipping like that?
Even Trump wants to start a space bureau, and I think
Here we go again, right. So all of a sudden it went from, you got to be crazy to believe in such a thing, to yes, they are.
Let me tell you a story, and I told it on Coast to Coast. Coast to Coast is a fabulous radio show that's on in the middle of the night. George Norrie is the host. Terrific show. A unique show. Anyway, my great-great-grandfather was the mayor of a town in Avila in Spain called San Miguel de Cerrezuela. It was like the mid-19th century. They were well aware of extraterrestrials. The extraterrestrials would fly around. They were called ovnis, O-V-N-I-S, I would imagine. Everybody took it for granted. No one was afraid. These were benign spirits helping them because it was the mid-19th century and no one told them to be afraid. There were no 1950s cheesy movies with ooh or Twilight Zone episodes to serve man, you know. So they were used to it and they were comfortable with it.
Absolutely right. And also in the Midwest, the Indian tribes they call them the Star People, and they're some of the tribes are saying they told us they will return. And so that's not uncommon for American Indians that have no problem.
And they have a myth of some tribe of a tall blonde man, sound familiar, coming down and helping them. You know?
Absolutely true. And also there's something that, and we're trying to check more on this, but there was a man by the name of Captain Val Thor, I believe.
Oh, Thor, of course.
Right?
Yes.
And he lived at the Pentagon for 2 years.
Yes.
And it was all
he was
up.
an extraterrestrial, yes.
And do you know why he came? Do you know what he said? Why he was here?
Yes, don't blow up the planet. Don't be idiots. Yeah.
Get away from anything nuclear. Stop it now.
And you see what effect that's had.
Exactly. And ultimately they said, we can't. No, the answer is no. And he went back. Now, I just came a few days ago. I was at the UN for a major peace conference they had of all the various world religions. And it was really a remarkably 3 hours of wonderful love and brotherhood and sisterhood. It was really like that. And I'm thinking, I wonder if they know about what happened when an extraterrestrial came and said, we want to protect you. You have to stop this nuclear craziness. And also, we know for a fact that UFOs have stopped dead over facilities with nuclear weapons and shut the missiles down.
Yes.
And they said nobody could possibly do that, but it happened. here we go again. And why? Because they were saying, we will shut them down if you haven't got the good sense to do it yourself. And you know what? The missiles are still here. All the countries are doing more nuclear weapons. They're building more. And that's insanity. Yes. I mean, that really is. I'm part of a group, a peace group that wants to stop that, and we'll be doing some demonstrations.
I hope, but you know that doesn't do much good.
Well, you know what? Here's the bottom line, Diana. War is good business.
Exactly.
For the people, the trillionaires who are making money through war products.
Exactly.
And that's what we're up against.
And the wars are about, in this instance, the wars we have right now, protecting the oil interests of the 1%. And people are sold a bill of goods and saying, you're fighting for our freedom. Like hell you are. You're fighting for the money of the 1%. And they're using you as cannon fodder.
And there's new ways of doing, we know for a fact that there's new ways of doing energy. It doesn't require coal or all that.
Solar is wonderful.
And wind, even wind, and also water. There's things that can harness water now, the waves, and generate electricity.
We used to use water power. That's what windmills and other things were.
It's back.
Yes.
It's back.
But now, I also believe that people live under the ocean and in the center of the earth.
I believe that's also true. And there's been photographs. I recently saw them, and there are UFOs going into mountains.
Sure.
And there's like a way that they get in there. Now, hello? I mean, if they photograph them, and some of them are on YouTube, that means they know where they are. That's interesting, too.
Yes, but often knowing where they are isn't enough because you can't get in. They're very clever. You can see the entrance, but you can't get in. And it might be interdimensional.
Possibly also. And there's been a lot of sightings over many years around the Catalina Island area. I was there once, and it was a beautiful place.
Great fishing, you know.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. But it was a great trip to go there from California to the Catalina Island. Beautiful. And there's people who live in the area, both on land of California as well as the island, who said, we see UFOs that go into the water, submerge. And that's not even an occasional thing. They say, we see them, we know they're there. How wild is that?
It's like San Miguel de Terrezuela in 1868 or something. They accepted it. It's not a big deal.
Well, right, exactly, but it is a big deal when you think of that. So where are we now? What's being held back? A lot.
Everything is being, everything.
Yes, it is.
Everything.
And when you talk about energy, we know for a fact, because we've got some UFOs that crashed.
I know.
And we know how they were powered.
We, what is it? Something?
Re-engineered.
Right, something like that.
And there's people who say that they worked in Area 51 trying to figure out how they were powered and how it works.
Do not rush Area 51.
Oh, God, no.
Please do not.
No, friends.
They will annihilate you. This will not be shown before September 20th.
Aha.
They will be, you will be dust.
Right, the threats, the signs are all over the place. We've had friends go there, and luckily they had the good sense to, when they saw the sign, we will use deadly force if you go beyond this sign.
There's a famous, on Coast to Coast, there was a famous, the previous host, Art Bell, it's a famous tape. This man is flying in his plane, and he goes into Area 51, and no one knows what happened to him. I'm sure many do, but they're not telling us. I take it he's not among us at this point.
Mm-hmm. There's so much mystery there. It's so guarded. When I was in Las Vegas, there were planes that didn't have any markings, and I asked, where did they go? And guess where they go? Area 51.
Sure.
And they're landing right in the airport where we all landed. And that's where they go. So people that live in the Las Vegas area get in those planes and work at Area 51.
Well, you know, there are also extraterrestrials among us. No, I'm not one. I've been accused of being one. I am not one. Are you one?
Are you sure?
Everyone says that. No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm really not.
You're really not. All
as
right.
far as I know. Anyway.
Well.
I'm qualifying it. But anyway, but no, they're among us. They look human, and we see them all the time. And it's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. Relax. It's not War of the Worlds by Orson Welles with people drinking rat poison and screaming and carrying on, which was really stupid. Excuse me. You know, I mean, come on.
Right. It was a way of making the American public and the world public afraid of asking questions and going anywhere near the subject.
Which may have had something to do with the oncoming war. It was 1938, and here comes World War II, starting in 1939 for Europe and 41 for the U.S.
Right.
So it may have had something to do with that.
The mentality being shoot now and then ask questions later.
Yes.
And that is the wrong way to go. And
Our weapons are nothing to
compared
the
to
extra.
right. And what you said before is they have such advanced technologies that they could, if they wanted to, and we're still here.
Like that, we'd cease to exist.
And I feel as though, from what we were just saying, that they've been nurturing, they've been, if anything, protecting us.
I agree.
Saying, don't go near nuclear. That's going to hurt you. That's going to, not only your planet, but those waves go out in space and hurt us.
Yes.
And that's been said not only by Captain Valiant 4, but others too have said that.
Yes, yeah.
So I would say listen, because they're saying something that's protective and truthful.
What can I say? Nobody listens. And it's all very testosterone fueled, forgive me. Oh, we have more weapons than you have. My dick is bigger than yours is. It's also Freudian, you know?
Yeah, it really is like that. And, the countries all do that all the time, So what is real? What is truthful? You really have to question, as you know, everything. You can't assume that because it's in the major media, that the government is saying it, that it's absolutely true.
About misinformation.
It's dying. It's dying because people realize that the fake news is being issued on major media.
Yes.
And, that's awful because I grew up trusting Walter Cronkite,
Didn't we all?
trusting all the news
Huntley
people.
Brinkley, remember those two?
And saying that if anybody can trust anybody, it's those major people on the ABC, CBS.
Well, I knew they didn't write their own stuff, but I mean, I trusted the news sources.
Right.
I knew they were in effect presenters or actors,
Right.
but still.
They're reading teleprompters, and these words are being written by others that are being controlled by people saying, write this, but don't write that.
I read something very interesting. Because we gave back the bodies from Roswell,
Okay.
we got transistor technology in return.
Oh, we got that.
Because the following year, that's when they introduced transistor radios.
Fiber optics is another one that we had.
From Roswell?
From the crashes, and there's other products too. The transistors went from 0 to 1,000 in a second.
Yeah, in the early 60s, everyone had a little radio. Ding, ding,
And
ding.
there's false reports about, well, in our lab, we were experimenting with this. No, this happened overnight.
Exactly.
So you can't buy that story because it's just not true.
People want to. They don't want to know.
Yeah, well.
They want to be comfortable with their preconceived world. They don't want to take the red pill.
Don't you want to say, please wake up?
They don't want to.
Not only for you, but for your wife and husband and children and grandchildren. You need to be aware of what's going on. You need the truth.
The truth shall set you free. And as we keep reiterating, they would kill us if they wanted to, like that. And some of them are from other dimensions, much better dimensions. We can learn from them,
We can, if we're open to that and if we ask for it. And it seems to me there's a group of respectful ETs that they want us to want them.
Yes, but they, naturally enough, treat us like indulgent parents when we say, we'll get you. What can you do?
Well, and here's the thing. What if you were out there looking at our planet right now?
This little hovel we live on, the blue rock, yes.
Right, and you saw what's going on in the different countries, like North Korea, Russia, China, America. And
you know what I would do? I would say cancel this experiment.
Turn around and let's go home.
No.
No?
These people, we made a mistake. Next time we put more of our genes in the apes, get rid of this planet. Over, finish. Let them blow themselves up,
Yeah, but luckily they're not saying that. They really seem protective, and there's a lot of stories like that now, and I think that's reassuring. I personally want to hear that because that means that there is love and concern for fellow creatures. Mm-hmm. We are, they are. And they seem to be watching us and, I believe, trying to help us.
Well, yes, of course.
And also crop circles are interesting. We've did a couple of programs where we've explored the very different dynamics of crop circles.
And they always get some guy from Yorkshire to say, yeah, I did it. It was a joke, you see. But it wasn't, you know.
There's a few clowns that will do that, but no.
No, but they get people to say, "Oh, I did it.
Right.
I did it with my tractor. Yeah, my tractor. Yeah."
That's a good accent, by the way.
I'm a good actress.
Well, you did a good job.
Thanks. But anyway, yes.
So, and there's scientific reason to say that wasn't a board didn't flatten that, and they looked very closely at how all the stalks
And
were
it's
broken.
so intricate and perfect and often burned, radioactive. Yeah, he did it with his.
No, not the
no,
boards. No, thank you. And also, some of the designs were done within hours at night.
Yes.
And in the morning, the people have gone in the area and said that wasn't there when we went home.
And what about the cows missing their bowels and everything?
Yeah, that's a very strange subject.
I think they need it for nutrition, actually.
Well, who knows?
Yeah.
But
No, they're not Satanists. They just like cow bowels, you know.
Mm-hmm. So it's
Whatever.
a fascinating subject, and
we're almost out of time, and I hate the fact that we're almost out of time.
May I give them the website
Please
again?
do.
Disclosure Network New York. We meet twice a month in Manhattan throughout the whole year, and we have also special events too. And all that they can find out on our website, and that's dnny.info, I-N-F-O. And that will give them the next meetings and what we're doing in the future.
DNNY, Disclosure Network, New York.
dnny.info, and they'll get right there.
And
also, may I say the podcast we have, and we have on YouTube all the meetings recorded, so they can go to that.
how do they get that?
That would just go to YouTube and put in Disclosure Network New York. We're right there, and also on our website, also all the programs are there to listen to. So we had people calling from Australia saying, "What an amazing group you have! Mm-hmm. We wouldn't miss one of those recordings on your meetings." Wonderful. So we do those almost every single meeting we record it.
Wonderful. Anyway, my guest has been world famous ufologist, Mr. Nick Curto, who's also a gay rights activist, a prominent artist. He's great. He's probably an extraterrestrial. He's too talented and smart.
You never know.
You never know. And I always thought Carl Sagan was one. I'm serious. But anyway, this has been the Diana Montford Show. My guest has been ufologist Nick Curto, DNNY.info. I'm Diana Montford. Even if no one else loves you, I love you. See you next time. Bye.